Welcome to the Metaphysics Hour. I am your host, Rory Colgan. Why am I laughing? Perhaps you would, I don't know. Perhaps not. But I'm going to tell you anyway because you're tuning into my show and I think you want to know. I'm laughing because I'm going to answer a question that I have had, and so therefore I will answer it based upon my own knowledge. But what I find funny is it's a question that I asked when I was a practicing Christian, and now I'm using a Hindu book to use as the stimulus for the question, and they're also the answer. And we'll see parallels within a few of the religions, mainly Hinduism and Christianity, okay? And I guess Judaism, and maybe Islam, but I'm not really in, I haven't studied a whole lot of Islam, so I can't tell if, I think they have a second coming of their Christ or their prophet or whatever. Any case, this is a book I'm working on called, it's another bright one, I don't know if you can see it, The Lord's Song, a 21st century translation and interpretation to the Hindu Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so this is in chapter 3 or so. Know that whenever the world declines in virtue and righteousness, and vice and injustice mount the throne, then I come, the Lord, and revisit my world in visible form, and mingle as man with men, and by my influence and teachings I destroy the evil and unjust, and reestablish virtue and righteousness. Many times have I thus appeared, many times hereafter shall I come again. There's a thus. I got to get rid of that thus while we're thinking of it. Part of how I'm using this book is just making it more for an English first audience, because I mean this book's been around for thousands and thousands of years, and as you can hear I talk about it as the Lord as opposed to Krishna, because Krishna, I didn't grow up with those words. I grew up with the Lord, so want to make it palpable for the Western mind, at least the American mind. Many times have I appeared. Yeah, I don't need to say thus. All right, anyways, that's pretty fascinating. So you take it on face level, what does it tell you? It tells you that there is the Lord, a singular person, and this singular person comes and singularly reestablishes virtue and righteousness. And he, we're assuming, because Krishna or the Lord is pursued or portrayed as a man, at least in the traditional sense, he will come when vice and, what was the other word? Injustice mount the throne. In other words, when vice and injustice become the thing that we all bow down to. In other words, we have lost our way. That's the face value. And the face value of that, you could probably even make a comparative religion case for it and say, well, when Jesus came, that was Krishna coming back in the Middle East. And when Quetzalcoatl came, it was Krishna coming back in South America. Or when the founder of Jainism came, or Siddhartha came, this was Krishna. Or flip it around. If you think one deity is more supreme, say it was Christ, and then Jesus came as Quetzalcoatl, as Buddha, as Lao Tzu, as a Confucius, or whatever you would call it. So the physical way of interpreting this is that there is literally one deity, and that one deity comes as a one person. Okay? So that's the baseline. Now here was the question that I had. Is that true? Is it just one person? And if so, kind of deflates my bubble. Maybe I need a deflated bubble, but it kind of sounds like, oh, I should just wait until God comes and then worship that God once he or he is in physical form. And that's something that's rubbed me wrong about religion since my early days in Catholicism. So I have done what I have done over the years to look at holy works in a different light. And the Bhagavad Gita, or the Lord's Song, just being one of those holy works. So I look at it as a story of you, a story of me, a story of every person. In other words, this is not just a story about some deity, it's a story of you, because you at your deepest part, your essence, you are a deity. You are the God, in the sense that you were created as offspring from that supreme source. In other words, I didn't create me, so therefore I cannot be the God, but I am made, I believe, and I know, in the image and likeness of that creator God. And that creator God is not a religion. It just so happens to be in the book of Genesis that those words come to mind. My point being is that that's true for all of us. And that's true for, I work with cows, I'm a farmer. So it's true for all the pigs, it's true for the cows, it's true for all the chickens and all the other animals. It's true for all life, that in all life, and this book explains it, and others do to a lesser extent or more of an extent, all of life has that God essence. So yes, there is one supreme God, but he, she, can manifest everywhere because everywhere and everything is this he, she, creator God. And so therefore, when I answer this question, I say it's not going to be one person. It means that when vice and injustice mount the throne, it means that the Lord, that spirit, that presence is going to come into many people, and through the many, reunite to the one. Now that might be a little hyperbole or a little jargon, but my point is, more of us are waking up. More of us are getting in touch with this purity, this consciousness that is eternal. And that is how we bring back righteousness and harmony and virtue. We attune to that Christ within ourselves, that Krishna within ourselves, that Lord within ourselves. So the Lord is possible, and the Lord can come back. So if you think the world's gone to shit or hell in a handbasket, meditate, focus, breathe, get yourself in a state where you can tune into the frequency of your own Christ. Bring that Christ out, and therefore rewrite history. Go from the dark negative to the positive light. So, if I can be short and succinct, I will simply say that do not look for a one individual to save you. Look for the Savior that is within yourself, because you have been given that connection to the Supreme. And therefore, utilize it. Don't get lost looking for middlemen, middlewomen, people to facilitate it for you. Guides, teachers, they're important. That's why you're listening to me. That's why I'll listen to me later, because what I'm saying is something that I need to hear again and again and again, even though I'm saying it right now. Use guides, use teachers, but find the Christ within, find the Lord within, and through finding that, you will right the wrongs of the universe. Big statement. Big statement. But prove it. Prove it wrong, prove it right. Comment below. Love you guys.